Hi, thank you everybody for attending today. My name is Howard Murphy, Business Development Manager here at DB Computers. Today, our 45-minute session will be covered by Alicia Mansfield from Dracer, where she'll be demonstrating Credit Hound, Dracer's credit control software, which integrates with both Sage 50 and Sage 200. At DB, we like to provide process solutions using Sage to its fullest extent. So for the most part, what Sage provides suits whoever, where clients are looking for more automated processes. There are already well-established products developed by existing Sage developers. Dracer are one such company who've been providing these solutions for quite a number of years. So credit control is so important to a business. As a company, we all want to be as flexible as possible during these particular times, but cash flow needs to be maintained while alleviating as many manual efforts as possible. Now, we've worked closely with Dracer over the years, and I've seen improvements made in removing a lot of the manual credit control processes with our clients. And so we're very excited to show you what benefits you can avail of with Credit Hound. So before I hand you over to Alicia, if you want to add any questions, please add them to the Q&A or the chat area. We'll address them towards the end of the presentation. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Alicia, who can give you a little more information on both herself and Credit Hound. Alicia.
Perfect. Thank you, Howard. Yes, welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today. So let's get started and get my screen being shared with you. So, as Howard just mentioned, we're here today to take a look at Credit Hound. Before we do so, a little bit about ourselves here at Dracer. So we do operate globally with organisations using our software all around the world. We've actually got over 11,000 organisations using the software. We've got a few different pieces to take a look at today. So predominantly we're looking at Credit Hound, and that is a credit controller's best friend. And it's all about supporting the day-to-day activities, ensuring they're as efficient as possible, saving time where possible, and of course, increasing cash flow. Now, Credit Hound utilises another piece of the Dracer suite called Spindle Document Distribution. And this is all for this about the sending of documents that we generate in the accountancy software and in Credit Hound. From the user perspective, we're pressing print. What that does behind the scenes, we'll see shortly. All of our solutions, we now also offer a cloud offering, and there will be further information on these shortly. So what is Credit Hound and what is Spindle? As said, it's all about increasing cash flow, saving time and money. It's all customizable to suit you and your organisation. So how you want your chase cycle to look is exactly what we'll support. As I said, it's all about streamlining your processes. So from the user perspective, it's so straightforward. You get into the software, run your chase cycles, you're pressing a couple of buttons and you've got all of your relevant data in one safe and secure location. We're no longer having to spend time looking for notes in different locations, checking what we've sent to each customer. We can see everything we need in that one place. We're also going to be speeding up getting the monies back into the organisation. So one of the features of Spindle and Credit Hound is the Pay Them button. And that is actually the functionality for your customers to be able to click a button and pay their invoices right there and then. We'll take a closer look shortly. So without further ado, let's take a look at Credit Hound in action. When we first open the application, what we have is our home screen or our dashboard, and this is where we get an insight into the organisation as a whole. Throughout the software, we will see the mouse pointer change from a mouse pointer to a hand. Whenever we see that, we can drill down into the data. So we start with some good news first, which we all like. Who has paid me in the last 7 days? So this is when payment has actually come into the organisation. We've allocated it in the accountancy software. And now any future chases that are due for this customer and this invoice are automatically removed from my diary. Meaning I'm no longer going to be risking calling a customer that's actually already made payment, but I haven't seen it yet because I've already done my allocations piece. And now any future chases for all of my invoices, for all of my customers are automatically removed. Next up, we've got my disputes. So this is on the flip side of somebody making payment. We pick up the telephone and they say, no, I'm really sorry, Howard, you for a moment. They aren't paying you for reasons X, Y, and Z. The outcome of that may not be for yourself to manage, but actually for you to escalate it to somebody else within the organisation. In doing that, we can manage it from within Credit Hound. So what we can do, we record the reason for non-payment, we escalate it to the relevant people, and it creates future to-dos in our calendar so we know when to touch base with the person managing the problem and when we expect the resolution. Next up, we've got our total debt. So that is all of the outstanding debt as a whole. And my setup could be that I see the accounts I look after. For example, I look after accounts A to G and I can see the following. Alternatively, I can see the whole organisation. A couple of charts over here, and again, who has my money, where is my money, and we can drill down into these totals and see exactly what makes up those amounts. We mentioned a moment ago somebody not making payment. On the flip side, we've got some good news, Howard, and they are making payments, and we can actually record a promise to pay. And that's where we know what monies are coming in off the back of the chases we've completed. And again, of course, we can drill down, see what makes up these totals off the back of the chases we've completed. Little quick launch here so we can get into the different areas of the software. There is so much to look at, you see, within Credit Hound, and we're going to do a very high level overview today. So when we're completing a manual chase, this is where we're picking up the telephone and we're actually calling one of our customers that owes us money. In order to do so, we can drill down from within the home screen here, but we've got a couple of areas where we may wish to do so. We've got our to-do list, and this is where we can see all of my future to-dos, and I can drill down into certain date ranges, absolutely anything that we see here. We've got lots of different columns that we can utilise to be able to see exactly which information we want to be able to record our future notes. We've got a to-do list and we've also got a calendar view. Now our calendar view could be standalone within Credit Hound, like the setup you see with me here today. Alternatively, it can be linked to an Outlook calendar. So here's my to-do list, and as mentioned, from here we can go into a particular chase to complete. The other view, let's take a quick look, is the calendar view, and as said, could be standalone as you see here, and it is color coded so we know exactly what we've got to do each day. We've got our callbacks that are in blue, dispute review dates, and also dispute resolution dates, and that's when we know we can start chasing for those monies again. We don't stop there for ways to be able to get into our different accounts and utilise the data. We've also got an account screen, and again, loads of different ways to be able to format this. If you want to look at certain data, bring additional columns through, you have the option to do so. Credit Hound utilises something called consolidated accounting. So it may be that different branches place orders with us, but we know that it's head office that will make payment to us. Within Credit Hound, we can set that we are always going to chase head office, opposed to chases going to the branch level or child level accounts, if that is the case. So let's drill down into account now without further ado and complete a manual chase. We're going to use Abbey Retail now, and first off, what we can see is all of the chase statistics for this particular customer. So down the left-hand side, we've got a high-level overview of how much time we've spent chasing this customer for different invoices. Against each invoice and credit note, we have any chases that we've completed, whether that be a manual chase or an automated chase that we've sent. Across the bottom, so down here, this is where we've got all of our information coming directly from Sage 50 or Sage 200 into Credit Hound. So it's coming from there into here. We've got our account information, address information, contact data, age debt information, analysis codes, all of the list goes on. Everything that we could possibly need to make chase on this account, we have the relevant information for. To be able to complete a manual chase, we actually hit the Start Chase button. When I do so, I'm notified of any outstanding to-dos for my customer. Now, this is great to ensure that I'm not duplicating any of my colleagues' work, and I also know what future chases I've got up and coming. If I decide I'm happy to continue with the chase, though, I continue and on we go. Now, when I pick up the telephone, there's a few things that could happen. The customer may say, yes, I'm paying invoices X, Y, and Z, and we can record a promise to pay for those. The way in which we do so is very straightforward. If you have a look at the middle of the screen, as I highlight multiple invoices at the top here, you'll see that that amount promised increases. That means if they state, yes, great news, I'm paying for invoices X, Y, and Z, we can record that in one swoop. Avoiding to have to replicate the data time and time again, we can ensure we're being as efficient as possible. Now, whilst on the same call, they may say, not so good news, Alicia, I'm not paying you because of reasons X, Y, and Z. In that scenario, we simply record a dispute. Now, the reasons that we see here are set to suit me and my organisation. Of course, if you're providing a service opposed to goods, your reasons will differ slightly, and we set all of this to suit yourselves. It's all customisable. So for this one, we'll state that the goods were faulty. We've now got two boxes to populate, a client notes area and an internal notes area. And again, something for you to consider whether at this stage you want to send a letter to your customer via email advising we hear them and we're working on it. And then we've also got our internal team notes, which is going to go to our internal team member via email. So let's pop some reasons here. So client notes go here as to why they aren't paying. And then we've got our internal notes section for internal notes, of course. We've then got the amount that's in dispute. If we'd highlighted multiple invoices, we'd see that total to suit. We've then got the two dates, and this is going to create the two future to-dos in my calendar, a review date and a resolution date. We then decide whom we're assigning the dispute to and if we want to send a copy to anybody else. So these aren't users of Credit Hound, but they are internal team members of the organisation. So we have their email address. Decide whom we're assigning it to, and if we want an FYI or a copy to go to an account manager or anybody else, we have the option to do so. If we want to do any other note taking whilst we're here, we have the option to do so. Of course, recording everything in the one location. Now going to stop the chase, and it's stating, do I want to include this in my automated chases or not? So all my future chases for this particular customer are going to continue to be sent, but I do have the option to exclude my invoices that are in dispute. Now, if there's a problem, I make the decision not to continue chasing until we've resolved it. Of course, again, it's up to you and your organisation. I've now got my letter wizard that has popped open, and I'm going to print it to Spindle. By sending it to Spindle, it's going to take it from a really basic looking document to a fully branded, adding any extra attachments, adding any relevant invoices, adding different branding, archiving it in the relevant location. If there's different currencies, overlays, it's going to do all of that for us. We can see here we've got my section where my client notes go here. We hit the print button. Always sending it to Spindle Pro Auto, sending it to all those relevant email addresses, adding the relevant attachments. All we're having to do is press print. Next up, we've got my internal team member copy, and I'm going to follow the same principle. Sending it through to Spindle means it's going to the relevant email addresses in the relevant format. That is a manual chase completed. So we pick up the telephone, we record the notes, and we send a follow-up letter if required, depending on the note we're recording. If we go over to my emails now, we'll take a look at the documents that it has created and what it has sent. Now, of course, this is a demonstration, which means the email addresses are made up. So they are going to my drafts. In the real world, they go directly from your sent items. So first up, we've got my external letter that's gone via email to my customer. We can see it's a fully branded HTML email in keeping with the rest of the organisation. I see time and time again companies that spend a fortune on branding, ensuring that they're in keeping with the rest of the organisation. Then it comes to the finance team and it's really basic looking documents that go out. Why that's the case, I don't know. Any touch point with the customer, of course, is a representation of yourselves. It's branding, it's important. With Spindle, it ensures that every touch point we have, we're in keeping. So we can see it's fully branded. It's automatically attached to different documents. It's attached my dispute notification letter that we generated, and it's attached the relevant invoice. Hasn't stopped there. It's also attached my dispute handling terms. So without this, we'd be dragging and dropping these documents from different locations, generating a letter to go to my customer, recording notes in different locations. There would be so many different manual steps. With this, record the note, press print, and it does it all for us. It's also, as said, it's attached my invoice as well as an FYI. So whenever we're sending documentation out from Credit Hound, it's really, really handy to have the invoices attached. If I just scroll down again so you can see an example of one of the invoices that's been printed to Spindle. You can see, of course, we've got that trusty Pay Now button on, which is always going to increase cash flow, and the T's and C's of sale. So the document we're looking at here, I've generated in Sage 50 or Sage 200 previously at the time of the sale when the invoice was due. I've sent it to my customer. Credit Hound has now picked up the relevant invoice. That means whenever we complete a manual chase, an automated chase, or on this occasion we're recording a dispute, it's attaching the relevant invoice for us. Next up, our internal team member copy. It's an internal document. We don't need it to look as fully branded, but it can look as fancy as you want it to. And if we open it up, we've got our dispute notification. And of course, as this is my internal team member copy, we have both the details of the issue that went to my customer and also my internal note here, whom we've assigned it to, and of course, who the person is that's recorded the problem. So that is how we complete a manual chase. Now, my absolute favourite bit of Credit Hound is the automated chasing. Now, automated chasing is how we can chase anything from, well, as many accounts as you like in one swoop. And I really mean that. So we can chase hundreds of accounts at the click of a button. Let me show you how. So we go to a certain area of Credit Hound called Tools and Rules. Now, for the first one, we'll go into it so you can understand how and what it's doing. For the rest of them, we'll quickly press print so you can see exactly what's happening. So first up, a little bit about my chase cycle. Now remember, everything we see is customizable. This will be set to suit yourselves and the chase cycle you want it to look like. So for myself, I start with a preemptive letter. This is before the debt's due. This is saying, hello, don't forget, you owe us this money on this date. We've got the pay now button on there. We're making it really easy for them. We're at the top of their inbox. Next up, I've got a chase letter 1. Now, this is where the debt is between 1 and 15 days overdue. And now I'm requesting that they actually make payment to us. It's where the debt has not been chased in the last 7 days, but where the amount outstanding is over £1 and account balance over 5. Now, a key bit to point out here is who have not been chased in the last 7 days. So yes, I recognise it's called Credit Hound, but that doesn't mean we want to send the same chase letter time and time again to the same customer for the same invoices. So the software is clever enough to ensure that it does not send the same chase letter to the same customer for the same invoices. Whilst pointing out at this time, it's a good time to say it will also group together invoices for certain customers. For example, with Abbey Retail, let's say they had 10 invoices outstanding. It will group all 10 together, meaning they don't receive 10 separate emails. They'll receive the one with all relevant invoices attached. I've then got chase letter 2. So this is when the debt is a little bit older and things are getting more serious and my wording is more severe. And last but not least, I've got my telephone chase list. So Credit Hound can do automated chasing in a couple of ways. It can create a automatic chase letter that's going via email. It can also create an automatic to-do in my calendar, meaning I know that this is a very serious case now. The debt is over 60 days overdue. Now I'm picking up the telephone and I'm giving them a call. And again, that will be a different colour code in my to-do list or in my calendar view. And it's something else we can filter onto. So let's get these run then. So starting with the preemptive letter, I hit run. Any accounts that hit that criteria, it's automatically going to send their relevant chase letter. I can deselect anybody if I didn't want to send any chase letters to them. But of course, on this occasion, I do. And now I'm going to press print. It's going to take it from this basic plain looking document that we see here, and it's going to batch print all of these different invoice chase letters to all of my different customers, sending them via email. If I need a copy document to go to anybody, it's going to attach them, a copy email to anyone internally. It can do it for us. Next up, I'm going to run my chase letter 1. Now, my chase letter 1, remember, is where the debt now is overdue. So we'll scan all of my accounts. 25 hit that criteria. Now, you may think, okay, that's brilliant, but what if I run chase letter 1 and I forget that I've run chase letter 1 and I run it again? That's okay. If we are to do so, because of that criteria where it states if they have had this chase letter in the last 7 days, it's no longer going to reach the criteria to receive it again. So I've just pressed run again and we can see no records match that criteria at this time, meaning that there is no risk there of human error. Next up, we've got our chase letter 2. Run. 46 records match that criteria, printing it through to spindle, meaning we have just chased 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, roughly 95 accounts in about 2 minutes, as long as it's taken me to tell you about it. There is nothing that will chase your customers that quickly, record a note against every single one of them, so we know exactly what chase letters they've received, sent the relevant chase letter via email. If we're utilising Spindle, we're able to also have the relevant invoices attached, pay now buttons on the documents that we're sending. All I've done is press run. So if we go to my emails now, we can see exactly what those chase letters look like. And we will see that there are so many different invoices attached. It's added all my relevant branding, archived them in the relevant location, added relevant attachments, overlays. Oh, let's take a look at one. So you can see them all popping into my sent items or my drafts on this occasion now. And if we open up one of these chase letters, of course, as you can believe, fully branded in keeping with the rest of the organisation. If we had any pay now buttons on invoices, we would see that here, relevant invoices attached as well. Of course, my T's and C's of sale. So let's have a look at the pay now button. So from the customer perspective, they received the invoice, the pay now button's on there. They can then click into that and they can make payment from World Pay, we integrate with Sage Pay, formerly Sage Pay, now Opaya, or with Elevon. We've got Stripe integration. We have got lots and lots of different ways for your customers to be able to click a button and make payment instantly to you. From a customer perspective, they click into the button, they add their card details, or they can also pay by open banking. Behind the scenes, you also get some insight into the payments you've sent out. So if I have to very quickly sign into my Pay Them portal, we then get insight into attempted payments. We've got the option of resending payments out to customers. Let's take a closer look. We also have, which is very exciting from within the Pay Them functionality, the ability to add early settlement discounts, late payment fees, all from within the Pay Them portal. So the home screen, when we first come into the Pay Them portal, we start with some recent successful payments. If there's any rejected payments or attempted payments from the customer, we can see those here. Any transactions that we've sent out to customers are all available from within the Pay Them portal. Every time we come in, we have the option of drilling down into our relevant company. So if we've got a couple of companies that we work out of Sage 200, we can drill down into them all separately and see all outstanding payments that we've sent to them. Hopefully, I've picked a company now with some data associated. I have, much better. This is what I was hoping to see. So we can see here, we've got my payment transactions that I've sent to my customers, their status of them, if they're paid, cancelled, rejected. Throughout the software, we can see this little I button. Whenever we see the I, we can drill down into the data and find out more information about it. If we've allocated the money, we will see that we've done so and the amount associated. Of course, the allocations piece we would do in our accountancy software, but the information is flowing through. Payment plans. This is something that's coming soon, and this will be so we can handle direct debit transactions as well. For the moment, the early settlement discount. Let's take a click into one of these. Now, this is a great way to entice customers to be paying you sooner rather than later. One, we're using Credit Hound, so our invoices are at the top of their invoice. Before they do that payment run, it's us that they're remembering. They've had our preemptive letter, our chase letter 1. They've also got a button on there so they can make prompt payment directly to us. Let's entice them further now with a early settlement discount. It could be a percentage discount or an absolute discount by amount. So straightforward to set up, configure it like so, and just decide which customers we want against each different early settlement rule. We can have as many as we like. Same on the flip side of that with a late payment fee. We add a configuration, really user-friendly to utilise the software. So straightforward. We give you some information on the existing or the current today's annual interest rate, and you can then make a decision on the configuration you set up. We then decide which customers we want against each different payment plan or payment transaction plan, and we can refer back to this at any time. Great way to be able to speed up getting monies back into the organisation, and something as long as you've got, whether it be an Opeo, WorldPay, Stripe, or an existing account with one of the following, or a new account, of course, we can consider getting that Pay Now button added to your documents and your emails that you're sending out. Okay, back to Credit Hound. So we have had a look at a manual chase. We've done an automated chase where we can chase hundreds of customers at the click of a button and record all of the notes against them. The one thing we've not looked at yet, and the thing that I would like to leave you on before we conclude today's webinar, is actually all around the reporting side of Credit Hound. So we've got an interactive age debt screen within Credit Hound, which is great for us to be able to drill down into accounts. Something I didn't mention, within Credit Hound, we've got something called groups and categories. That means we can, believe it or not, group certain customers based on certain criteria, meaning that we may want to chase certain customers that are our VIP customers with a certain set of chase rules. We may have other customers, bad payers perhaps, that we want to utilise and work with slightly differently. Again, all possible within Credit Hound. Remember, we can add through all the additional columns. If there's further analysis codes from Sage 200 that are important for us, we have the option of bringing them through. I won't read you the list because I'll send you to sleep, but you can see there are so many additional columns we can bring through if there is certain data we need to report on. Out of the box of Credit Hound, there is lots and lots of reports. So the same area we went to before for our tools and rules, this time we're going to tools and reports. And you can see from here, we can, again, that run button, so easy for yourselves to navigate around. It's straightforward, you know where you're going. And we can see all of the reports that I have out of the box. Now, because we're recording things like our disputes, our promise to pay, this means there is all these different options that we can now report on and get a better insight into the organisation as to why people aren't paying, if there's problems in certain departments, is there any patterns, any themes. Thanks to all of this, we can actually report on it and improve cash flow further by addressing these problems directly. Let's scroll down now and see what other reports we've got. So we've got all of those around the dispute analysis. We've got some summaries, some with notes, some that are pie charts, graphs. We've got reports for every occasion. We've got outstanding to-do items. We've got the to-do list, the calendar view, but perhaps from a management perspective, you want to run a report on all of the credit controllers up and coming to-dos. You have the option to do so. Promised cash. It is great to have an insight into the monies that are coming back into the organisation from the chases we've completed. With the promised cash functionality, we can do that. I'm going to run one of these reports now, and I'm going to run the transaction dossier report. Now, this is a massive report that includes all of the data that we really put into Credit Hound, but it's a great one to take a look at. We can add lots of additional filtering and account sorting. For every single report within Credit Hound, we have this additional functionality, bringing through additional analysis codes if desired. We press run, that will generate the report. We then have the option of exporting it in a variance of ways. We have all the following file types available, and you can email directly from here too. If I just do a quick scroll down, you'll see we've got all of my automated chases. So every time this account's had one of my automated chase letters, my manual chases, a dispute, if we record a promise to pay, we can send a follow-up letter off the back of it. All of these different things we record, we can all get back from the output with the reporting. Let's go through one more now so we can just see one that includes some of the graphs and pie charts. Of course, no doubt I'll pick one without any associated, so we may see another two, but let's give it a try. Oh, no, it was a good selection. There we go. We can see here we've got the dispute analysis reasons and the totals associated, a breakdown of numbers, real great way into seeing some high-level statistics of the organisation. Lots and lots of reports. And of course, they can be customised to suit. Okay. I do believe, let's have
Very
a think.
good, Alicia.
I think that's it, Howard. I think we've done a quick whistle-stop tour of Credit
Well, listen,
Hound.
the nice thing about whenever you do these demonstrations, Alicia, is that by the time I've finished putting down any other questions that I've had, never mind anybody else has had, I always find they're already answered by the time we get to the end of the session. So listen, well done.
Thank you. No problem.
But I'll have to mention a couple of things just to draw attention. But listen, I have maybe one or two queries sort of put to me here as well. So, you know, I mean, I know it might be obvious, right? But what are the biggest benefits clients had after implementing, say, something like Credit Hound?
Okay, very good question. So once Credit Hound is installed and configured, we actually see an increase in cash flow. We see our daily outstanding debtor days decreased because monies are coming in much quicker. Our time is saved within efficient processes. So Previously, without Credit Hound, you're looking for notes here, you're checking your emails, you're checking an Excel spreadsheet, you're looking in all these different directions for notes. You're even asking a colleague, oh, did you speak to so and so
Yeah,
yesterday?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
there's so much admin time that's unnecessary. Once you've got something like Credit Hound that streamlines that all into one location, you're no longer spending all that admin time looking for the different notes, checking here, checking there. It's in the one location. On top of that, things like the Pay Now button, you've got monies coming directly into the organisation. Make it as easy as possible for your customers to be making payment to you. And that's what it's all about.
Very good. And I mean, like, aside from those, does any particular customer stand out where it's sort of a help them in any way? If there's anything spring to mind?
Oh, that's a very good question. The list is endless, if I'm honest, Howard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's nobody who doesn't have Credit Hound installed that doesn't wish they didn't have it years ago. As
Yeah,
you know, there's nobody that doesn't see Credit Hound and wish they didn't have it yesterday. Certainly, if anybody watching today wants any case studies or anything like that, we've got them available. We've got what's called a return on investment calculator, which can show them directly
very
what
good.
their savings can be and what the cash flow increasing can look like. So they're again tools that we can get out to your customers so they can really see it for themselves.
Very good. And how easy is the deployment of, say, the likes of both Credit Hound and Spindle? What sort of time period would you be talking about?
Good question. So dependent on, there's a few various factors, but on average, 3 to 5 days install configuration and training.
Very good.
So yeah, swift.
Yeah, yeah, that's very good. And just a couple of queries just with regards to Spindle then, for instance. So if you're sending out as part of the actual rules system a list of
Mhm.
emails that are going out, is there any worry from things like any bottlenecking or anything like that on your emails?
Cool, good question. No, not really. I would say initially when people potentially first started many years ago, so sort of,
Mm,
back in the day when emails were sort of starting to become a thing, because Spindle faxed back in the day. Then we saw things progress to email and all that sort of thing. Yes, there was the odd transition back then. These days, not really. Worst case,
yeah,
you have to allow in Spam Titan, as I
yeah,
do for a
yeah.
lot of emails I get every now and then. But no, not enough to phone home about.
Very good. And there was one other thing. Oh, yeah. With the likes of the reporting, okay,
Hmm.
now forgive me if you've already covered some elements of this, okay?
It's
I get
okay.
a lot of queries, people who are using Sage 200, Sage 50,
Hmm.
they're looking for better cash flow style reporting.
Mm.
Are there sort of given reports that are there with Credit Hound currently at the moment that you would recommend?
Oh, intriguing. I would say, hard to say off the top of my head, but
Mhm.
yes, you do gain much bigger or much better insight into cash flow.
Yeah, yeah.
Something that we're going to be seeing in Credit Hound Cloud in the near future is a bit more around the AI side of things and predicted
Yes,
payments.
yes, yes.
So certainly we'll see that flowing into the software more as well in the future. But there is out the box a standard. Yes, we can report on it, get an idea for it. For the future development, we'll take it to the next level with the integration of AI.
Excellent. And look, that's a great segue then. What just to let everybody know, what we'll also be tagging on to this video, we'll actually stick in the description is a link to the cloud version of what Alicia is actually showing you here today.
Hmm.
So we will go through a couple of things there. I have some other questions I'm going to tag on to that particular demonstration as well. Other than that, listen, Alicia, thank you very much for your actual demonstration today. What I'd just like to remind people, as Alicia's slide says here on screen at the moment, what I want to do is I want to just sort of point to, look, if you are looking for a direct demonstration, please contact me at howard.murphy@dbcomp.ie. And what we'll do is we'll set up a one-to-one demonstration of Credit Hound or Spindle, or maybe a combination of both. And thank you very much for your attendance today. Thank you, Alicia, for everything. I think without a doubt, you've really answered all the questions I had here anyway, and any of the ones that had popped up. So listen, appreciate your time, and for everyone else for sitting in. And thank you very much.
Thank you all. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.